Technology, art, entertainment. My name is Paul, and today we're doing another sculptress sketch. This sketch is of a creature that I've sort of made up and have yet to do anything with called the Origin. It's from the same sort of universe as the metahuman, and it's in fact, it's the origin of the metahumans. It's a I want to say alien creature, but the whole point of it is that it's mysterious. You don't really know where it came from. And it's this semi-humanoid character that corrupts and mutates things that come in contact with it, and it sent society into this crazy downward spiral where these metahumans and other mutated creatures took over and ended society as we know it, essentially ushering forth the apocalypse in a very sci-fi sort of way. I wanted it to have very believable but inhuman anatomy. So how I designed it is to have, first off, it has many eyes. It doesn't have a separation between its head and its neck. It just sort of has muscles and bones attaching to its neck, and its spine and stomach areas are reversed. So essentially it's like walking backwards. It has a spine where its stomach should be, and then it has a stomach where its spine should be. Essentially its spine runs down the front of it and connects to the base of its chin. So that makes it look very alien and whatnot, while still allowing me to have very believable anatomy and geometry to work with. What I'm doing right now is working out the various multiple eyes. The whole thing is that it has many, many eyes, and they all sort of, they don't have pupils, so you never really know where it's looking. It sort of represents it being as an all-seeing being. It's very Lovecraftian, sort of once it's unearthed, and it's literally unearthed because it comes from underground, but where it came from before that is unknown. But once it's unearthed, it causes all sorts of madness and craziness, and it mutates things, and it causes humans to go absolutely insane and kill people. And so lots of Lovecraftian inspirations there. And I'm doing a bit of muscles here. So he has a chest where his back should be, and in where his chest is, there's like latissimus dorsi, I think they're called, attaching to his arms and whatnot. So the anatomy, I don't believe, would actually work in real life. He'd still have range of motion as somebody walking backwards, but that just adds more mystery if he were to actually move around properly. I'm adding a rib cage that starts in the back or starts at the front and opens up in the back. So that's pretty interesting. And I wanted him to look very, very alien without, if you, as I explained in other videos, if you have anatomy that just doesn't work or doesn't represent anything in real life, unless you have done lots of engineering work to make sure that it could work, it just has never been seen, then it's not going to be very believable. Humans and people in general are very, very good at picking out things that just don't work. It's one of the reasons why CG in films just doesn't cut it as much as practical effects do, because practical effects have to actually work. Now, I'm a 3D artist, so I'm definitely not knocking CG in films. I'm just saying that you have to try very, very hard to make things look as if they work. So essentially having anatomy on this creature back to front, it's anatomy that doesn't technically exist in this world, but it's still anatomy that works because it's something that we can relate to, something that we can see. The muscles seem like they're going in the right places. It's convincing enough. And the hands are very alien. They have one long claw on each of his four hands, and he has four hands sprouting from two forearms that come out of four hands sprouting from forearms that come from two arms. Just like the metahumans that have a split arm, these creatures have a split arm, but they have a bit more control. They're able to move each of their split arms independently instead of them being tacked onto the same elbow, so to speak. Hands are a lot of fun to do in 3D. I think hands are easier to do in 3D than they are on paper in 2D. Once you get good with hands in 3D, that also then helps you out with how to represent a 3D hand in 2 dimensions using your pencil and paper. So I'd say if you have trouble with hands, try to download Sculptress and make a hand in 3D, and you'll eventually get the hang of it a lot quicker than if you were just practice hands all the time. At least that's how I got good at hands. But another reason why I like to use Sculptress is that it just is much faster to do concept work like this, to create a form and then add little bits of details here and there in a purely geometric sense, no textures or anything like that. It's so much faster than ZBrush, or at least in my experience, it's faster than ZBrush. And it's free, so you don't really have any excuse not to try it if you're a 3D artist. Now, I know that ZBrush can do all the things that Sculptress does. Just in my experience, I have never seen it work as fast or as smooth as Sculptress does. It only has a handful of tools, and those handful of tools they're very precise and can do so many different things if you know how to use them properly, whereas ZBrush is very much all about having thousands of different tools that are all very single purpose. And, if I took a proper class on ZBrush, I'd probably be able to implement those sort of techniques into ZBrush, but in my mind, Sculptress does it very well. And then for detail work, I usually take it into ZBrush or Mudbox and add detail there. But Sculptress is not the sort of program that you make game-ready meshes in. This is not a one-size-fits-all tool for game development. You can't make game-ready assets with millions of polygons and no textures and things like that. What you do is you concept inside of ZBrush, get a basic shape, and then put it into another program and get it ready for games. So with the feet here, I didn't know what to do with the feet because somebody called me up and said on the video I did earlier saying, why don't you ever do feet? It's not intentional. You'll find a lot of artists do this. Is you start a drawing on a piece of paper, and then by the time you get down to the feet, you don't have any more paper left. So you have to really plan out your drawing. And if I'm doing proper character concepts, something that I want to put into a file or scan in and save, and then it's something I'm going to be referencing, you bet I draw feet all the time. But if it's just something for fun, feet are you have to really plan for them. You have to think about, okay, my character is going to end, say, here. And then if you draw the head in the wrong proportions, and then you have to draw everything else to scale, then they start going off the page. And it's easy to overcome that, but not when just doing a quick sketch just for fun. So I can draw feet, damn it. So you just I'll do an entire feet study to show you. I can draw feet. I can draw the hell out of those feet. Anyway, adding a bit of detail onto the skull here, just making it look like this creature has a very large brain. It can take control of you mentally and psychologically and force you to go mad. Very Lovecraftian. I had a lot of trouble with this neck, thinking of what do I do with this neck and make it look good without making it look silly. I didn't want it to look like I didn't want to look like I wasn't trying. Because you can easily put like ribs and spines on something and make it look, creepy. But that's the easy way out. I was originally going to go with a spinal cord and bumps and whatnot, but I thought I'd rather have just unsettling muscles. Make the muscle mass of this creature very intimidatingly high. And I'm doing some bit of connecting muscles, adding a bit of definition, so fibrous brushes that make his muscles look like muscles are in real life. Muscles are meat, so they have bunches of little protein fibers that connect up. Here I give him back abs because he has his backward anatomy. So instead of having a spine, he has abs. But even his back has abs. He has a six-pack in his back, so he's doing better than me. And yeah, with the forearms, it's very hard. Sculptress, one of the weaknesses it does have is that you have to sort of tread lightly around really thin surfaces. So the forearms got a bit complicated. Now I elongate his neck because he's supposed to be around 9 feet tall. So I wanted him to have a very imposing figure so that when he stands upright, he just towers over you and has this tower-like neck that it seems that he sees everything with his multiple eyes. Adding a bit of fibrous detail to his bacterialis. And the sketching is nearing its end because I don't want to do much more than this. This is really just a quick sketch just to get something out of my head. Didn't do too much detail on the feet, so I'll go back there, do some details. I was originally going to go with a digigrade locomotive movement, which basically means he walks like a bird on the tips of his toes. But then I went with plantigrade, which is how humans walk. But anyway, that's the creature there. That's the origin. He or she, no genitals. I thought about putting genitals in there, but then I remembered that this is YouTube. You can't do that. But so that's the origin. He is the origin of the apocalypse in a fictional world that I might do something with eventually. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me on this quick little sketch, and you all have a fantastic day. Do